Hello, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of Survivor, season 33 on AFTERBUZZ TV. Stay tuned to hear us talk about what went down, and more importantly, help us answer the question, did Ken make $1 million mistake?
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
You guys, the season finale tonight, you guys.
Wow.
The season finale of Survivor 33.
Did not see that coming.
Did not see that coming.
Didn't see it.
It's crazy. A lot of stuff went down. We had 6 people when we started. We went down to 3, and then we have our sole survivor. Thanks so much for tuning in on AFTERBUZZ TV. Make sure to give us a like, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing in the comments. We're so excited that you joined us for the finale. So we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves before we get going. I'll start with you over there at the end of the table.
Where at the very end, I am a loser in terms of our survivor panel here.
Definitely.
Sitting next to the winner. But I feel like a winner sitting next to him in this spiffy leather jacket. Look at this guy here. You can find me on Instagram at @TheOnlyMC, on Twitter at Michael Clouse TV. Very excited to hear everyone's thoughts tonight.
Thank you, Michael. And I also
I'll
am Michael Rippe.
give you praise where praise is due.
And you can catch me on social media. Talk to me after the season on Twitter, Instagram. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Ken. I get the winner right. But my name is Michael Rippe. Catch me on social media at Mike Rippe.
For sure. And I'm Paige Bonanno. You guys can find me on Twitter and all social media, Facebook, Instagram, everything at Paige Bonanno. We're so happy you're here tonight. We're so excited to discuss. We had basically 2 full episodes, an after show, and just lots of craziness that went down. We have our winner, Adam. Let's give Adam a round of applause.
Well done.
Well done, Adam. Well done, Adam. Question of the night, which I mentioned earlier, just before we get into everything, do you guys think that Ken made a $1 million mistake?
No.
You don't?
And this is the thing, you know, it goes back to, and this will sound bad. I think the reason Adam won is what he said finally with his mom. It's hard to not say that.
But you don't think that, you think it's just because of his mom?
I think Ken played a better game.
You do?
I think there's, without question,
Adam was on the wrong side, or like seemed lost in a lot of things, especially lately.
But Adam did make a lot of big moves. You can't argue with that.
I have multiple questions we'll get to during tonight's episode on your thoughts, but I think that it's hard to say that Ken made the $1 million mistake simply because I'm not sure he could have done anything differently. Now, he probably should have kept David along, but who knows if he could have beaten David based on how the jury voted. How they voted everyone for Adam is beside something I can't understand.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
You're saying you're confused that it was a complete sweep.
Nobody voted for Ken?
Yeah.
Ken was one of the best players I've ever seen play Survivor.
I agree. And we didn't.
He did everything.
I think him throwing David under the bus actually gained him votes because it showed. Because
it didn't.
It didn't gain him votes.
No. Sorry. I mean, I think it. Technically, okay, because I'm
tied up his game in the sense, though, that showed he could do every part of the game.
Yes, because if he would have voted for David, and what they talked about in the questions is that, oh, you're old Survivor. You're old Survivor, which this whole season was about the new Survivor, the transition,
right.
Zeke asking what was your evolution, all that kind of stuff, and it showed that he could switch it up and was a true player.
I agree. And I mean, in the sense, maybe he didn't make $1 million mistake because David could have came in and said the same stuff about his game as Adam said. Because Adam and David were obviously very different players, but they were closer in, gameplay to being closer to each other than he was with Ken. Than Ken was with any of them.
This is one of the votes and things I will never understand, that Ken got no votes. He won 4 immunity challenges. The last 2, he dominated in every way. He never really crossed people.
He was on the chopping block from the beginning.
He did everything correct. He should have won Survivor, and the fact that he didn't win, okay, but to get no votes, and I was extremely displeased by Chris. And Chris, at the final vote, talking about everybody should vote for Adam, that's not Chris's place. You get to make your own vote. I didn't like him pushing for Adam, pushing for anybody in that.
Well, you know what surprises me? I agree. I think that Chris, kind of saying, oh, I'm a trial lawyer, and kind of overstepped a little bit, saying, here's my opinion now. I hope that all you guys do the same thing. But the thing is, like you were saying, no votes at all, especially from people like Jessica, from Taylor, how did Taylor vote for Adam? They got into it every single time. He's the whole reason why Taylor was gone.
It certainly seemed like it was not rigged, but in terms of like they had a conversation and were like, we're all going to be united on this.
Do you think?
I mean,
Do they do that?
There's no way that all 13 or 12 went in individually. And we're like, oh, we're all going to write. And then they're all like, oh my goodness, we all just wrote down Adam.
And I want to say, nobody is saying that Adam did not deserve his win.
No,
I think that
Adam is a deserving
I think
winner.
he's a very
deserving winner.
Very deserving winner. It just surprises me that that Ken didn't get any votes.
No, to me, Adam is a deserving winner, not taking anything away from him. He played a strong game, but against Ken, who to me played an ultimate Survivor game, it just shows you that maybe that's not the right game. That it doesn't matter how competitive and how strong you are while not actually boasting and not showing off and doing all those things. Those don't matter. It's more about the social aspect. It showed you that being a little bit of an emotional person that shows your emotions, which he did way more than Ken, really, Adam, and also by being someone that doesn't have to win, but gives your rewards up or kind of has enemies but works with them is actually maybe the stronger way to play.
And I mean, I do think that what Adam said too is kind of true. You know, Ken's playing a game that would have been amazing in season 1 of Survivor, in any of the previous seasons of Survivor, until it started moving the way that it has, like over the generations. You know, I don't know.
It's really disappointing to win 4 immunities and to win the last 2 challenges, the most important ones, and to get 0 votes, to me is unbelievable.
Yeah. And it's not like he explained it well, and people were like, how did you turn on David? And he's like, David was my second ally, or my second alliance. My daughter is number 1.
And I like that.
It's not like he didn't have a story.
And he proved through 39 days that he was honest, and he was never telling you something that wasn't true. He stood by everything to the last second where he eliminated David, and that was at the end. He explained it, and it was just amazing to me that even during the jury vote, Adam and Hannah the whole time were fighting with each other.
Getting at it.
And for Ken to get no votes, it's just shocking. I don't want to say that was because Adam used the sympathy vote or the sorriness about what happened to his mother, which is terrible. It's just unbelievable. I still can't believe Ken didn't get a vote.
And I did think too, like the going back and forth between Hannah and Adam was like kind of it seemed at the time, obviously it wasn't because Adam didn't lose any votes over it, but like it seemed like it was almost like detrimental to them at first. Like they were going at it, and Ken just sitting in the middle, like, hey guys, I'm not taking part of this, and that totally showed how Ken played his game.
It was the epitome of the entire season.
Right.
Like Ken just kind of sitting back and letting other people just kind of pick each other off to an extent. But he was still like a leader behind the scenes, though. And we're not even talking about everything that he's done for the tribe, going fishing every single day, providing for the tribe, helping out other people in other ways like that. And maybe he just didn't explain it well enough, because we talked about that of like, how do you not bring up all the challenges that you won? I mean, all the work that you've done, the fires, the food.
To be fair, Ken never made a big move until he had David go off. Maybe he just didn't need to it or what, but he never did the big moves that Hannah and Adam could say that they did, playing the devil's advocate.
I'm still shocked. Adam played a good game. He's a deserving victor, but for Ken to not get a vote.
You know what else is surprising is that David didn't vote for Ken.
No, nobody voted for Ken.
David didn't vote for Ken.
If you were Ken, what are you supposed to change about your game this season? Really, if you're Ken and you're looking at yourself, what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to go out and just start taking people out by being boisterous and?
Right.
I mean, he did everything.
Can we throw some? Is Helene your mom?
She is.
Nice. I was gonna say she's agreeing with everything you're saying on the live show.
But it's true.
You're totally fine.
Okay,
Thanks for tuning in.
I know, I agree. I don't know how you can play a game that Ken played and then get to the end and not win it, because that, to me, it seems what Survivor is all about. I do think that Adam and Hannah played great games. I'm not surprised that Hannah didn't get any votes. I knew that she wasn't going to get votes. I knew it was going to be between Ken and Adam. I would have liked to see what would have been different if it was Adam, Ken, and David sitting in the final 3.
Interesting.
I think Ken has the same thing. So I don't think that's why I don't think it was $1 million mistake.
I think there was definitely some jealousy going on amongst some of the Generation X with Ken. It's
like
my
Chris.
only thing, the way Chris came at him, and there must have just been, I think that Ken's looks and his appearance and how he played the game, it's almost as maybe people just didn't take him seriously. They talked about, and
They underestimated him to the end.
underestimated it, and they just didn't appreciate all the stuff he did because he did a lot. I mean, to come through in the clutch multiple times in Survivor with all the pressure, and for no one to see that or give you credit for that is really disappointing.
Well, Chris, too, you know how he was saying, I think you guys should all vote for Adam and this and that. Okay. But he was saying, you know, Adam made that, like, the biggest move by convincing Ken to get David out. And Ken said, okay, here you guys are underestimating me again. I made that decision by myself. Like, nobody persuaded me, which is true. We saw all the back and forth. Hannah couldn't persuade him. You know, Adam didn't persuade him. He didn't say anything to any of them. He made this decision completely on his own. And people are making it seem as if, like, you know, he's just being swayed by other people. And I didn't like that Chris went up and said that.
No, I just think that at the end of the day, no matter what, in that, make your own vote. Everyone gets a vote. Don't start pushing for other people and where everyone should vote for it. It's not out of place. It's not your place, Chris.
I mean, it just is surprising, though, that Jessica and Dave, of all people, didn't vote
What
for
I
him.
will say is there's definitely, what do you guys think? Do you think Ken will return for a future season? He has to, right?
I think he has to.
I think that people would love for Ken to go. I don't know if Ken would necessarily go himself.
After what happened, yeah.
Just like, I mean, he was the runner-up after all this stuff. Like, he has his daughter, who's already away from his daughter for a while. She's the reason that he was playing in the first place. I don't know if he would really take the time away to do that.
So many people, I wanted to just make sure, a lot of people chiming in the live chat
yeah.
and be able to bring them up. A lot of people saying the same thing of Adam played so much of a better social game. And it's true.
But Adam also got on a lot of people's bad sides also.
Did.
But then he obviously jumped back.
And the question that I have is, was Ken basically not a part of either group? He was very young for a Gen Xer. And so did he not fit into either category, and did that hurt him?
I think Ken was just very in it on his own. He's just kind of like he was saying, does things for himself.
And I think clearly, looking at it now, whatever Ken was doing, it didn't work. Even though if you're looking at it from my standpoint and the way I look at the game, it just seems like he got the raw end of the deal to get 0 votes. Because he get a legacy advantage. He got things during the game.
Got
and
so many immunities.
He kept winning, and no one... Yeah, it's weird to me that he didn't get a vote, but I think he's still going to make out pretty good.
Yeah.
I will say
I mean,
that. Now, another thing no one is mentioning, and maybe we should talk about the episode, David had the amazing idea of the fake immunity.
Yes.
Ken took part in that to set Jay up. Ken was a part of that. The coconuts
They didn't really
by,
show that he was a part of that, but
David and him walked by to set Jay
Walked
up
him
on
Yes.
the...
Yes, okay.
Real quick.
Yes, before we start.
So it's interesting looking at the overall again, and I guess we can talk about this at the end, we can talk about it now, we're all saying he did almost all this work. He won all these challenges. He provided, he did all this stuff, and yet a millennial won, almost saying that it's not all about the hard work.
It's not. I think that's what today...
the epitome of this season, which is Gen X versus Millennial?
It's a
Coming
great
full circle.
Great full circle question,
Boom.
and I think that it proves to you that really, at least in this season, it wasn't about how strong you were, and it wasn't about the challenges as much as it was more about the social challenges. Getting along with the group, figuring out your way to get the others out, but staying in it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To that point, you just touched on that fake immunity idol, so let's just kind of get in the episode. We won't spend too long on everything because I think it's more important to talk about, the gameplay of the people and how they evolved this season. But I think we should talk about the episode a little bit as well. So right at the beginning, David just goes and makes this fake immunity idol right off the bat. And
Unbelievable moment.
Great.
And so we were all kind of in like a frenzy of what's actually going on, because I originally thought he was going to make a fake immunity idol for himself so that people didn't vote for him to keep it.
I swear in the preview from last week that it showed it around his own neck.
Maybe he did that, yeah. And you were saying...
I was thinking when he said he was going to catch a fish, like he was actually going to go catch a fish and put it on the idol. I didn't realize he meant Jay was going to be his fish.
Yeah.
And the
Genius.
whole thing about that is to have that vision that he was collecting beads all 30 plus days, to have this planned out in the future, that shows you he's a television writer. And he was thinking about the game the whole time, which is really brilliant.
And he says, he's like, at this point I'm assuming that there are no more idols, but I'm specifically making the idol just to mess people up because I know that they're going to freak out. And then Jay goes and finds the idol. First of all, painted on it's like a pink thing of paint. Survivor wouldn't do that. Second of all, he opens it. It's just sitting right there very nicely. No note, no nothing. That's not how it goes. Like, there's a note with it
You're
normally.
mentally messed up on day.
But you know what? He's probably just so pumped. He thinks he
Yeah.
finds an idol.
Yep.
I mean, why are you going to think that
You're
somebody's
blind.
going to do that?
No, of course not.
You're not
And
going to think that.
It's amazing to think though that that was such an important part of the game. That David didn't win, but he wrote so much of the way the game
Yes.
came out by his vision and his moves and his thoughts, and he was an essential part of the game. It was unbelievable that not only did he execute his vision, Jay took it, and Jay thought he had an idol.
He was so pumped.
Which leads me to the next question. Do you think that because Jay had that idol in his head, that affected him in the challenge where he was a little bit cavalier and not so confident, like, I need to win this challenge? He's wanting to win the challenge, but he thinks he has an idol. He's safe no matter what.
I agree.
Do you think that had anything to do with him not covering the numbers? Like a little piece of him.
No.
I don't know about
think
now.
so.
Not on
I think that
purpose,
was-
but do you think he was just lackadaisical?
Well, no, because he found the idol after that. He found the idol. Or no, did he not?
No, it was before.
No.
It was right
Sorry.
No,
sorry.
he had
Right
the
away.
idol. So
You're
I'm
right,
just
you're right.
wondering, do you think when he's doing the challenge, it's hard to say, during the challenge, that little part of him that in his brain that thinks he's safe no matter what, made him be rushing through the challenge and not focused on every part,
Yeah.
where he leaves the cover open?
See, because I think he realized he could have played the idol at the next round.
No,
It's just
right,
food
because he
for
could have
thought.
gotten
Food for
immunity
thought.
right now and then play the immunity on the
So
next
he
one.
still could. And speaking of this, Thomas said that David's fake idol was one of the favorite blind sides of all time.
Dude, it was
has to
amazing.
be.
Amazing.
It's
It was amazing.
beautiful.
The best part of the whole fake immunity idol is that when Jeff gets it and then throws it
In the
what
fire.
a moment. That's like a legendary Survivor
Yeah,
moment.
this
Throws it in the
is
fire.
Not.
And
And
obviously,
Jay's response.
he's like, oh no. And obviously, like, you know, I'm saying, oh, you know, you could tell that it's a fake idol, this and that. If I'm there on day 38 and I find an idol, you better believe that I'm going to think it's an idol.
Yeah.
You know?
Another quick comment. It's very interesting by Steven, says that Ken should go on The Amazing Race, not Survivor. I can see him dominating.
Maybe
on
when
The
his
Amazing
daughter
Race.
grows up,
Maybe
they
with
can
his
go on
daughter,
together.
sure.
Because she's like
Packs on a few
4
more
or
pounds
5.
again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, very interesting. But what was I going to say about I had one more thing about the fake immunity idol. But I guess not.
I will say that Jay took his elimination like a champ. He was great when
He did. Yes.
And
Yeah.
he even mentioned that was $1 million lock combination mistake that he made.
And he was very humble when he went out. He was like, he was the one person I feel like made it seem like this is a game. I had a freaking blast with you guys.
Yeah.
Like, this was great.
A lot
he was
of them
not,
did.
He was not salty about it at all.
No.
And
They-
I think in his position, the way he got taken out was just one of those oh my god moments.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been the one dominating and in control. Even in that moment, right before he gets taken out, he thinks he's safe because he breaks out
Oh.
his idol.
I remember what I was going to say now was also you were saying that maybe him finding the idol made him a little more lackadaisical at the challenge. But I also think it made him more lackadaisical back at camp because they were throwing his name around and stuff, but he was kind of like, okay,
Like,
guys.
all right,
he
okay.
felt confident.
He was too confident and he didn't really go into conversations with anybody trying to save himself at all, you know?
Something.
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say something else. We're talking about, going into that final 5, is the legacy advantage. Mm-hmm. What the heck? That was like nothing.
Right. So, yeah, basically Ken opens the legacy advantage, and it turns out to just be an immunity, a guaranteed immunity,
Yeah.
basically. Which I was just not thinking that it was going to be that, given the name of the legacy advantage.
Yeah.
Which, upon further, thinking about it, basically, I mean, it's a legacy just because you made it to the 36 days. That's a legacy about it. But we see Jessica in the jury when she finds out it's an immunity idol. She's like, damn it, I could have made it. You know?
Yeah, but see, and the thing is, 2 things. Obviously, 2 things that I think I would have loved about it was that if you could use it at any time from there on the future, so you had like another opportunity to use it.
Because he had to use it the tribal before second before the last tribal.
Yeah, so he could have used it for one more if he needed, because he clearly wasn't on the chopping block at all.
Right.
And
He
I
had
wish
one
you
vote.
could have played it for someone else. Like if
Sure.
you realize again that you're not like any immunity, if you're not.
Who would
on
he
the
have played
thing,
it for, though?
I think you would have played it for David, because David got. No, David didn't get 2 votes. Jay got 3.
Ken got 1.
and Brett got 1. Yeah, but I mean, still, but the option of you can play it for anyone instead of just like, hey, you get this, but
I
it's
kind
not
of like
really an
that you
advantage because
didn't
you're
get
not.
to play it for anybody else because you were already given the legacy advantage. You're already passing it around in that way. I don't know. I think it was good the way it was, but I mean, it was lucky as hell that he got that, you know? I mean, I don't think he would have gone home anyways. He got 1 vote, which was from Jay.
Sheena says that the legacy needs some tweaking, and Brian says the legacy was so worthless.
I think it was because it was so new. They were kind of just toying around with something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a little weird, but I mean.
We'll switch it up for next season. We'll
Yeah,
see.
for sure. Speaking of Jay, I just want to talk about his gameplay a little bit, since he was voted out first on tonight's 2-part episode. He steals a reward. And I think that he did a good job of picking his people to go with him. You know, he said, okay, David won. So David won the immunity in the first time, and then he also won, like, the reward, which was steak. Jay steals it away from him, but he also lets David come and then picks Adam as well.
Throws out the olive branch.
Because of the thing that Adam...
They were in it together.
They were in it together.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's good. Did you have any doubt that Jay was going out in the first episode, or did you think that he had potential to make it?
I thought that if Jay didn't win immunity, that he was definitely going to be eliminated because he was the ultimate threat, even more so than I think Adam at that point. So they had to eliminate Jay before they got to the final 3. So if he didn't win the idol, I figured he was going out.
Well, I think it would have been really stupid of them because they were going back and forth between Jay and Brett, and they were saying, well, you know, Brett has a lot of friends on the jury and this and that. But I was like, you guys, you cannot friggin' take out Brett before you take out Jay. Like, let's be smart about this.
I think the whole thing about Brett and him having friends and whatnot was more just cover for using that as an easy strategy to say, oh, Brett has friends and he's a threat, when really he was not a threat and didn't have that many friends to count on.
Yeah, definitely. But Jay and Adam, we see a little more of their, like, strange relationship, too. And, you know, Jay basically tries to make his case to Adam, saying, you know, dude, we're in this together. Even though we have this weird freaking relationship, we're in it together. And basically says that, like, if he's in it, he guarantees to take Adam. And that was kind of a thing at the end Jay brought up, didn't he? Like, I told you that I was guaranteeing that I would take you to the end, but why didn't you use that to help take someone else out? What do you guys think about that? You have no thoughts?
There's not too much on that.
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I think that Jay has a point. He could have used Adam and they could have gone together.
I think Jay was more committed, which is interesting because throughout it, I didn't see Jay as loyal to basically anyone. And then he formed this loyalty with Adam, who was basically, they were, you know, butting heads, but there was a weird loyalty.
I think Jay appreciated Adam's game. One thing that Jay was, he stand up, he appreciated gameplay, and he certainly appreciated that Adam was a fair competitor and like someone that really was competing with him on the same level, using not just physicality but brains and strategizing.
But it's interesting that he has that respect, and this gets back to the final outcome. It's interesting that he has that respect for the gameplay and the work ethic and everything that he's doing, and obviously then it doesn't go for, you know, the same respect for Ken, who's kind of doing that.
It is weird. I think that Jay had respect for Ken, but I think that he just went for Adam because of his actual more, you know, battles that he had with Adam, and I feel like Adam out-survived him, so that was the vote. The one thing we haven't mentioned yet, and that's coming up right after, is that Adam's best move, I think the entire season, was on day 37, still going out searching for an idol on day 37 when finding one.
You didn't know there was one left.
To have the thought process and still that mentality, playing to win. You got to give him credit that he was still out there doing it, and he got it.
Because he could have
unbelievable.
very easily gone home that night,
How many times was his back up against the wall?
So many times.
Especially the last, like, 15 days.
Yeah.
When it was always like, man, I mean, I didn't think he would get into the final 3. Like,
absolutely
and
not.
then he has all these things that he's overcoming. I mean, from that respect, you know,
it's so sweet when he finds it and says, "How about 2 idols for you, Mom?" I started crying.
That was an unbelievable moment, and that's the thing that Adam was so great at this season, is he was so great at the social game of putting out strategies that weren't even always for him, but putting things in other people's minds and kind of switching the conversation, making people think about other people, and somehow sneaking by.
Well,
getting by.
I'll give it to Matthew on here, who says Adam was the most aware at all times.
He was definitely
and you
very
need to
aware.
have a pulse for the game. And I agree with you, Matt. I mean, I think he definitely had that above anyone else.
I mean, Adam goes too, though, and he tells 2 people, right? He tells Hannah And he
told
tells
Hannah. Yep.
who's the other person he tells? He tells another person.
I don't think he told anyone else. I can't
No,
remember,
he told
but
yeah.
Brett. He told Brett. Him
yeah.
and Brett were like BFFs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, why? Oh my.
I don't know.
Like,
he told Brett, and Brett's basically saying, you know, he's willing to do anything to keep him in the Final Four. Like, he's playing it cool. But Adam kind of says, you know, everybody decided to gun for me at this perfect time, right when I found the idol. So good for him. Got to give it to him for sure. And then at the next tribal, Adam does play the idol. And Dave gets 2 votes, Brett gets 3, and everybody's kind of, or not everybody, I mean us as viewers, but Adam is in a huge frenzy because Hannah did not vote out Dave when she had the chance.
thoughts just
She voted
overall,
out Brett instead of Dave.
Thoughts on Hannah's play, because it's certainly debated at the very end, and everyone on the live chat too. It's debated whether it's flip-floppy or whether it's strategy.
At the time, I literally have written in my notes, Hannah, dumb, why? But after going,
Tell us, Hannah.
But like after seeing, you know, the next episode and going to the end, hey, Hannah's sitting in the final seat and Brett and Dave aren't. So obviously she did something right.
To an extent, I don't blame it on her. I blame it on the guys who are thinking with the wrong head.
Yeah.
And thinking of being a little flirtatious
Actually,
with the only girl left and being like, oh, I'll just tell her anything.
I don't think they're flirting with Hannah. I think that they're just
No,
like...
I don't mean like majorly like flirting, but like trying to still woo the girl a little bit.
Well,
look at me. I'm puffing my chest out. I have this.
Well, Hannah's kind of saying, you know, the guys think that they're in control of this, but really everybody's coming to me. Hannah's playing both sides of the field.
She is, and the best part about Hannah is that she is playing both sides, and she has no shame in it.
And
She
nobody
is
really
telling
even thinks about it.
She tells the camera, she's telling everyone. She gained confidence throughout the season.
But have you ever seen anybody saying, oh my God, Hannah's playing this side and then she's playing this side? Nobody's ever gone back and forth doing that. So
Not
like
as
obviously
aggressively as
she did
that.
it so like she did it in an eloquent way, I guess.
Yeah, but she was
It
always
wasn't
the
that
goat.
elegant.
But she was always the goat.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
mean,
another reason she was saying like at first I was so confused about her not taking out Dave, and Adam is stressed. He's like, why would you do this? Like, it literally makes no sense to me. But then she kind of says, you know, it goes between who you can beat in the final 3 and who will take you to the final 3. So she thought that if she didn't vote out Dave, she was for sure guaranteed a spot in the final 3 because her, Ken, and Dave were so close. So I think there's a strategy towards that. I mean, let us know what you guys think in the live chat.
I think she underestimated Adam, though.
Yeah?
I think she would have definitely been better off going against David and Ken. First of all, because she would have been the only millennial left, so she potentially could have got some of the millennial votes just because it's like sticking with the original tribe as opposed to having to battle against Adam, who.
But I don't think the original tribe is much anymore, because think about how Ken is the only one in the Gen X and not one Gen X voter.
I got to be honest. I think that I agree, but I think the original tribe really helped Adam. I think the millennials stuck together in the end on a mutual respect, because for me it seemed like Adam, when I look at Survivor as a whole this season, if I look at some of the characters, some of them seem like you could replace them with another name and it was the similar character, and I felt like Adam was in the same lineage as Zeke or Jay. Either of those could have been in the same place as Adam, and I felt like they're the same person almost. Ken, I don't have a replacement for Ken on the flip side. Someone that same style game and was Ken. You know, I think Ken played his own game, whereas Adam was playing the same type of game as Jay, kind of battling with him. Same type of game as David almost. Same type of game as Zeke, all in a similar realm of game.
Sure.
That if you would have said in the end Zeke was there instead of Adam, or David was there instead of Adam, or Jay was there instead of Adam. Very similar. I don't think you can replace Ken with anyone and say, oh, that's like the same thing as Ken, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
weird to me. And so I just think that Adam battling all the millennials, in the end, it came back where they all went to him. They all just came up and went to him. And maybe there was editing done and we didn't see a lot more about Ken, and they played it a certain way for the cameras and whatnot. But you know, congratulations to Hannah, first of all, for getting to the final 3 and being the last female. And congratulations to both Ken and obviously congratulations to Adam, our winner.
Definitely. Someone just said in our live chat, my personal opinion is that Abby Maria played a better game than Ken. And like, were any of you guys on the panel when Abby Maria was on it? Not at that point. She was like the GOAT, and like everybody she was supposed to be the first one out, and everybody just took her to the end. She was a total bitch. And like, I just think that's hilarious. I mean, I don't think that's true, but it's a funny comparison.
Do you think if Ken looked completely different, he would have done better? Because I do. After
What do you look?
Like he wasn't a model?
If he
wasn't a model?
If he wasn't a model and he didn't
His hair was balling.
If he just didn't look, I think I think that had something to do with it. As much as it
Like
sounds
jealousy?
silly,
You think jealousy?
I think everything.
No,
Because
I think it's not jealousy. I think it's just your assumption when you look at somebody that beautiful.
Oh, it all comes easy to him. Life is coming easy to him.
That's jealousy, though.
He's able to get the fish. He's able to do all these
They're
things. And you're
underestimating him.
not appreciating how much work that he's putting into all this, or appreciating that he's talking about his daughter, appreciating all these things.
I mean, Ken even says too, like as he's watching the sunset on the final night, you know, Adam and Hannah are going at it, talking. He goes, you know, sometimes you just need to sit down and appreciate these things in life.
And
I think he has a very interesting perspective on life. I think that he's, you know, kind of like
He's very
philosophical.
unique, very
He's
unique.
very unique, and I think he's a good person. I think that people would look at him that way and just assume he's this beautiful model. He just gets whatever he wants, and I don't think that's the case.
And I think that they just didn't give him due credit for the amount that he
He's
did
doing that.
in the game. It was funny because he said that at the end, and then all you see in the final jury is Adam and Hannah bickering with each other,
going at it.
at each other's
A
point.
lot.
Ken in the middle, and he doesn't say too much. Less is more for Ken.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work. But that's something maybe as Zeke asked, what's the future of Survivor look like? I think you have to look at this season as a season where you have to say, okay, it may not be about winning ever.
Yeah.
It may not be about being the best in the challenges at all.
I think Ken wins at the game of life. He's a good person. He's gonna make it super far. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, he's the type
Calvin
of guy
Klein
that
will be calling, and he'll get a contract for
I
his
think
daughter.
he'll get stuff like that. But I think one thing that he has won at is he never wavered on who he was as a person. He played a strong game, and he will definitely be back in the future. It'll be interesting to see if future seasons, though, completely steer a new way to being more about the social component.
Yeah.
Brian brings up, he says, am I the only one who thought that Ken tried to make a final sway by saying he had anxiety tonight? Never brought that up.
He didn't say he had anxiety. He said that he was awkward as a kid.
Well, anxiety of like him like saying I want to go back to sleeping in a dream. That's basically anxiety.
He just said he was socially awkward. He said that he's just not comfortable
He
in
said-
all these
yeah, but
situations.
that is anxiety.
He also said early in the season how he didn't like the Ken doll name calling of himself
Yeah.
and stuff, and it's
for him. It's not about looks. It's more about who he is. You know. And I mean, I think that's true. In our live chat too, people are saying, you know, did Ken seem like he was really upset that he didn't get any votes? And I really could see, I thought in him that he seemed very like kind of shattered that he didn't get anything
Yeah,
at the end. And I think he was thinking like, did I make a mistake?
I think he should. I think if I was him, I would feel that way, and I think he should feel that way because I will go this season. Will for me, I will never understand how he got no votes. No votes.
Well, I think it's better for him that he got no votes than he would have got like 2 or like 1 or 2 or 3.
Why?
Because then you realize that it's like, I don't know. If I look at that, if I'm in his place and I realize that I got no votes and that Adam got all of them compared to what actually happened here and what was actually said, you know, again, to bring up his mom and just the whole situation, that you clearly know that something was talked about behind the scenes and they all decided to just band together for a particular reason.
Sure.
And it wasn't like you didn't actually have anyone who thought you played the best game or people who actually thought you won.
And I think it's definitely clear that aligning himself with David ended up being a detriment to him over the long term of the game.
I think it helped take him far.
Ken?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't-
because
I don't think that's what hurt him.
What it did in the end was it made people assume that David was in charge of all the moves and kind of didn't give Ken any credit for staying out of the fray, not
Sure.
being the loudmouth and doing all these things. It just
People were saying in our chat too that he didn't say anything because he never did anything because David was his brain.
that's completely wrong. If you're saying that in the chat, you're wrong. And if you watch the season, Ken, he fished, he won challenges. You can't say he did nothing. End of story.
But Dave was the vocal.
That's okay.
Vocal part of that
Yeah,
duo.
but just because you talk a lot doesn't mean you're the one doing stuff. But I'm saying you
No.
can't say Ken didn't do anything. You may
I
say he
agree.
didn't play the right game, whatever. He did a lot. He was the one fishing. He was doing actual Survivor things,
Yeah.
winning 4 immunities.
No, that's
two
true.
of the last
Dude,
2.
Austin is completely against you. Says that Ken
okay.
should have gotten 3rd.
No, I think Hannah should have gotten 3rd. But anyways, I mean, nobody got 3rd. They both got 2nd
They
because
both
neither of them
tied
got
for
any
2nd.
votes. So Hannah, just one little thing I wanted to say was that that Adam was talking to Hannah. So it was obviously the 3 of them, David, Ken, and Hannah, in a little alliance, you know, saying we're taking each other to the end. And Adam was kind of funny, like, we have to win immunity tomorrow. We have to win. And like it was kind of like
There's no we.
There's no we. Like she's not regardless, it's not happening that way. You know what I mean? I just thought it was funny because I'm like, she's clearly not on your side. She wouldn't take you anyways. But talking about that immunity, basically, it became a showdown between Hannah and Ken, which was very surprising. We just didn't think that this would happen. They both do it or everybody does it for 30 minutes. It comes down to just the two of them. And then you go to a 5-minute showdown, and Ken won over Hannah in a very big battle. The wind was taking a toll on everything. And Ken was really excited. He started crying.
And another thing we saw at the end, Ken was going for the win at the end. I appreciated him attempting to win at the end as opposed to playing to not lose. Like, he was going for it. That's what you want to see.
They were tied, were
in
they not?
They were tied, but he goes for it at the end. I mean, he could have held out or not.
For another showdown or something.
Yeah,
maybe
you
she's
did.
knocked out.
You put a little bit of a risk by putting that last one on there, but
Because it could have fallen at the last second.
But I think the most important thing overall is that I take from it, I think we should take from it, is that the game is about not winning now. The game is about winning at the social aspect. And it's more important to be amongst your peers in a social way, get along with them, talk to them, and figure out what works for everyone, as opposed to maybe being the person that just does an old school game.
Matthew brings a good point of the worker bee versus the kingpin.
Huh.
And Ken being a worker bee, but you're not actually in control.
Are you guys surprised that it didn't go to fire at all? Everyone was.
I was hoping.
I was hoping it would go to fire. I loved how they were both practicing to make fire, but it didn't end up going that way.
Who'd have won, you think?
David made fire literally the whole time.
Well, it shows you how quickly, and if that does go to fire, David wins fire, Adam's not your winner.
What could have
And
happened?
who knows? I mean,
What could have happened?
It's like last season with Michelle. It's always at the end, these twists and turns, and usually the person you think probably is going to win doesn't win. And
Yeah. So just another thing I wanted to talk about quick was, so they all kind of made their case about, who's changed the most, what's gone on, all this and that. Hannah kind of describes how, she was like this neurotic person, having anxiety. She literally had an anxiety attack just watching the challenges, where Ken was saying, people are underestimating you. They're saying I'm a model that doesn't do much. And then Adam was basically just saying, I made a lot of wrong moves and this and that. Who do you guys think has grown the most in the game and been, I guess as Sunday said, the most adaptable? Who's grown most for you?
From the start. You want to go?
For me, I'd say Hannah.
See,
I think Hannah grew the most.
I look at it and I want to say David, but I feel like I still have not gotten a read on how true or honest David was. And I think he was playing the game still. I still look at it and say, I don't believe that he was that paranoid and that out of his shell. And his whole story of growth was a story that he could play when he got to the final three.
Yeah, I was more talking about the top three, though. Out of the three final.
Obviously Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as growth?
I think Hannah, right, because we saw her not be able to write down a name at the start of the season in Tribal, to the point where she had gained confidence at the end, where she was almost mocking the men, talking about how...
She was very defensive at Tribal.
Well, and at the end, talking about how the votes were actually going to, no matter what, it's coming down to which way she goes. So she had grown a lot. I think Adam was already a very developed individual before he even came on the show.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
As far as growing, I think it would be Hannah, because as we saw, the start, she couldn't write down a name. Jeff said he thought she got lost at the Tribal. So she definitely grew the most in confidence. I think that both Adam and Ken kind of are already developed and just played the game and developed a little bit, but it was definitely Hannah.
He mentions that she, in the last one, that she took charge walking in to vote. And I noticed that even tonight.
I noticed
she was power stepping in there.
I noticed her just taking control and really vouching for herself in everything. Everything that she would say, she was like, I did this, I did that. She became a lot more confident. I feel like
confident.
She, at the beginning, she was just so awkward, didn't really know. And I feel like she's a very confident woman now.
At the start, remember, she was, when Jeff was talking to her, she's like, oh my God, Jeff is talking to me.
She's like, oh my God, what do I do? And now she's at the point where she's like, Jeff Probst, let's do this,
She's
let's do that.
confident enough that she thinks she can get a man like Ken.
And she thought, she thought Ken was.
I think they talked about that in the after special, but we had to turn it off a little early. But I'm excited to watch it when I go home.
Right. So, any thoughts on the whole season in general? Any particular characters, specifically how it compared to past seasons? I thought there was a couple things I liked about the season. It was cool that they did the Millennials and Gen X, but I definitely thought that the editing I would have rather seen the way they finished this 2-hour special broken up. there was a lot to go.
Yeah.
There was a lot of detail in tonight's
Right.
finale that I thought deserved more than one final 2-hour breakdown.
And I feel like playing off that, there was a couple episodes where it was like so much freaking happened that we couldn't even talk about everything, and then there was a couple episodes where literally nothing happened, and I feel like they could have broken it up a little more, as you say, I guess. I don't know. Overall thoughts, there's a couple. I'm really happy with the way that things turned out for the most part. There's a lot of players that I would have liked to see play a little farther and seen how their gameplay went out, such as like Michaela, Figgy, a couple of those people that were voted off before the merge. Other than that, I mean, I think it was a good season. I liked the aspect of Gen X versus the Millennial and the battle between that. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next season.
I think it was and you're wondering what would happen with, the whole Millennial versus Gen X of their strategies. If you think Gen X and you think like very hard worker and, really pays off, and you think Millennial and it's getting it done however you do it. And certainly in the grand scheme of things, this was a Millennial match.
So essentially, we kind of all won, right? Because we're Millennials.
Yeah.
So congratulations to us. We are Millennials and we won.
And again, congratulations to you, Mike Rippe, for
Thank
having.
you.
Yes.
That's
He
right.
had the best fantasy team, and he won.
No, I mean, thank you. Next season.
We are happy for you.
Next season you can play along. But thank you, Adam, for making it come true.
Yes, and he had Adam and Ken.
I did.
Who had Hannah?
Yeah.
I think.
I don't
Can
have
you check that out real quick?
Someone that lost.
Any final thoughts on the live chat? Make sure to tell us right now as we wrap this panel up. Go ahead.
Final thoughts from me would be that I think that this season will be memorable only for the fact that it was a lot of editing. There was a lot of things, and just the editing to me was weird. There was a lot towards the end, and also that Ken didn't get a vote. That's what's going to stick with me on this, because we've seen in other seasons where people that win don't even deserve it, or this and that, and people that don't deserve to be there get votes.
Yeah.
Just amazing that Ken, someone who I thought would have been a worthy winner, didn't get one vote. And also, congratulations to Adam.
Yeah.
He was
He
amazing.
deserved it. He deserved it.
And I just want to say as a final thought, thank you to all the fans that have watched this every season,
Absolutely.
and this season in the live chat for sure.
I just wish that I could have seen the final battle be between David, Adam, and Ken. But, I mean, congratulations to all the players. Everyone did great. It was a super fun season to watch. Love you too, Sheena123. And it's just been a great ride. And obviously, we're going to be here next season, and we're excited to see the next players and how everything shakes up.
It's going to be a good one. I completely agree with what you said. Like, it's amazing to see that it all went, for Adam. Literally a complete sweep. And it was like, it's just unsettling to me of like, Ken deserved at least a couple
votes, yeah.
Especially with...
And again, we're not like saying, oh, Adam didn't play a good game.
He played a great game.
Yeah, we're not saying that. But it's just like,
surprising.
it's unsettling.
For all season, there to be so much
Yeah.
great battles between Zeke and David and Adam, and then taking someone out
End like that.
to end with just a domination in victory, undefeated,
But
undisputed is
in
wild.
that situation, who would you guys have voted for at the end? Would you have voted for Ken over Adam?
My final vote would have been for Ken.
I would have been for Ken.
I would have been for Ken.
Because I'm more of a Gen X millennial. I look at the hard work, and I look at what someone has put in.
I mean,
and
who
I
would you have
can't.
voted for?
I'm really, really, really torn. I
It's
mean,
a tight one.
I think that
It
Adam
can
made.
just be a cop out and say Hannah.
Yeah, right. I think that
Females.
No, I think Hannah did a great job. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant like it was more of a close game between the other two. I honestly don't know. I love, you guys know how much I love Ken. I love Ken, but I might have gone for Adam. I might have. I don't know. I'm very torn. I would have been like Hannah going up there for her first vote, like taking the years to do that. So I don't know. I mean, it was a fun run. So
Seriously though, thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
The live chat. I mean, you guys are on there 10, 15 minutes before we get on there. It's great to be able to have that content, be able to interact with you guys. We so much enjoy that. So thank you very much for your voice.
And make sure to join us next season.
Woo!
We hear Ty's coming back. Life's
Ty's
gonna be
back.
good.
Michaela's
yeah,
gonna be
someone
there.
asked how excited
Zeke
are
will
you
be
that Ty's
there.
back.
Obviously so excited. What can be better than the game of Survivor? I don't think that there is anything. Thank you guys so much for joining us all season. It's been such a blast. I'm your host, Paige Bonanno. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Paige Bonanno, and make sure to join me next season right here.
And my name is Michael Rippe. You can catch me on social media at Mike Gribbs. Thanks again to everybody that joined us all week. We will see you in the spring.
You can catch me on Twitter at Michael Clouse TV, on Instagram at TheOnlyMC. I just posted a very Christmassy video. It's pretty funny. You should go check it out on Instagram. Thank you again, though, for all joining us. What a great season. Can't wait for the next one.
Congrats, Adam. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Adios.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.